Hey guys, what's going on? Legion Rudy here playing more RuneScape Dragonwilds. Welcome to our Daily Gaming XP Grind episode 117. Crazy how many episodes there already are. So what are we going to be doing right now? I think I want to go see if I can't get some more Blurite ore. I accidentally teleported to the wrong place because I've got a ridiculous amount of lodestones. So some different interesting things that I want to talk about. I absolutely have no idea, to be quite honest with you. But ultimately we're just going to keep progressing in a game and working towards what we want to accomplish, as I think it's really important to have a goal, set a goal, and accomplish it. Obviously sometimes there really isn't much of a real goal. You're just sort of playing a game and having fun with it, and I think that's also really important as well. But sometimes you don't really need to have a goal in order to I don't know, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do in the game, right? But anyway, we just totally missed. Oh my gosh, I thought I was going to fall right there. But anyway, ultimately, I think that we've got lots to do in the game, and obviously, having a good time while you're doing anything in the game is very important. And I think it's interesting how there's so many different players in all different types of games. Some people go after achievements, some people just like the interaction with other players. Um, Very interesting, really. So let's go ahead and grab the rest of this bright ore, which was so incredibly difficult to find for the longest time. And obviously hiding it inside of a dungeon is just brilliant, really, right? To try to just throw us all off the scent. And it's depleted, so we can get out of here. And at least we survived all that. Let's see if we can actually get out. No, we fell again. So even though we made it, we didn't make it because we ultimately failed in the end. So let's see. They've got some stuff on the ground there we could pick up, but I'm not going to go through all that trouble to just grab that. And but anyways, we're having a great time with the game. So much to do. I could even go in there and get some more vault shards, as I'm pretty sure those are going to be really important in the game to have with all the high level armor that's going to be coming out. And obviously, as I've talked about a little bit before, that basically vaults are not going anywhere. They're basically going to keep having vaults in the game. So obviously, you can just imagine that's going to be really important, making high level armor. Um, I think it would actually be a really good idea to sort of stock up on vault shards, as I think that the more and more that the armor basically gets more like higher level, you're probably going to require more vault shards. But then potentially in high level vaults, we might expect actually to get more vault shards per killing different creatures. They're going to be high levels, potentially higher level rewards. Um, Really no actual like proof on that. It's just sort of my feeling about it, and that's obviously just what I think. But yes. I am really excited for achievements to come to this game, because I remember when I played World of Warcraft, it was really cool to basically go through the list and see what you've done. It's going to be interesting to see if they do it by location in the game. Like the beginner area, maybe you have different achievements, or it's more so. It's just going to be very interesting to see how they sort of align that and develop it. So we're gonna have to wait and see how that looks. But right now I've got pretty good accuracy, and just when I say it, it all sort of falls apart. So I really didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do in this video. I may have mentioned many things in the previous video, but I've got absolutely no idea what I was going to be doing, and I'm missing it terribly, and I'm probably going to hit this ram while trying to hit the sheep. Still got him, which was absolutely crazy. But basically, I do believe I mentioned that I might be working on rune crafting in this video, sort of going ahead and using all the rune essence that I sort of stockpiled. Obviously, there's so much work that still needs to be done to work on rune crafting, and obviously I've got to sort of stack up my piles again, so that way I can mine them in a future episode. I can't believe I missed that shot. Hopefully I can get him, and I did. So I guess we'll fill up our inventory really quick. Maybe not the whole inventory, because that might take a little bit longer than I'd really like to be out here. Is if we're going to be making those runes, it's going to take a little bit of time. But obviously got to make sure we're using a rune crafting potion to maximize. And we were also supposed to start collecting dwarberries while we're out here, because it's going to help us level up cooking. And I sort of just haven't really been doing that. But ultimately, certain things, as most of you already know who play the game quite a bit, you just sort of fall off and you don't really do it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get our rune crafting potion, And then let's go ahead and grab the essence, which there might be a little bit, or like sort of lying around that we can find it. There's some right here, and there's probably going to be some in here. Yes, there is. Let's check here and grab any extra, so that way we can start working on rune crafting. And let's see, there's a ton here, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and pop our potion. And then we're going to go ahead and just look how much rune crafting XP we have right now. So we have 918,289. So that's what we're starting with. So what should we make? Let's see our rune pouch. It looks like, let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and make water runes because at some point they're going to make water spells when they increase the level cap for magic. So obviously it's going to be quite crazy when they sort of just level things up and we're able to do things, because obviously you're going to have a certain level of rune crafting to actually make the newer runes. So I think it's going to be really important that you have an XP to sort of push you along. And then recently I received a couple of different messages about why I'm doing all this, and aren't they going to reset XP once the game fully comes out? Now, I sort of looked on the internet, and I've also read it many times. Basically, their goal is to not reset XP at all. And ultimately, they said that they would avoid it at all costs. And what I really look at is there was a quote that was made that basically says that the game is saved to our hard drives. So it would be really difficult for them to actually reset the XP anyway, because it's all sort of on our computer. So the only thing that I think that they really add to it with updates is sort of adding content to the game. So I have a very low percentile in my head that they're actually going to reset our XP. I think it would upset a lot of people, including myself. But more so, why would you do that to people who have been playing your game when there's really not a lot of content? It's, if anything, we're sort of the people checking out the new things in the game and enjoying it and sort of giving them feedback. And ultimately, they don't plan to reset XP, is basically the point I'm trying to make. And in the event that they did, it would be extremely horrible. But I don't think they're going to. So, and even if they did, we'll address that when we get there. But for those of you who are potentially a little bit worried that they potentially might do that, so that's why you haven't really spent a lot of time over where you really need to in the game, I can understand that very heavily, because it takes so long to do certain things, and if then you're going to lose all the progress, it doesn't really make sense. But like I said, personally for me, I'm going to wait and see what happens. I don't know what their plans are, but as I stated, everything's saved to our hard drive. So our character is saved to sort of our computer. I think the only way that they could actually really reset XP would potentially be like a game wipe. I don't know how that would work, and I don't think we really have to worry about it. So I'm excited to keep playing the game, excited to keep progressing towards Road to Max. And anybody else who's just sort of playing the game quite a bit like I am, I know they're having just as much fun as I am, and really putting in the work. And so it's really quite exciting. But that's pretty much what I've got to say about that. I think we've got a little bit more runes that we can do. I think we're going to do lore runes just because we teleport around quite a bit. And I think that would be actually a good thing to have extra lore runes. So we obviously got to eat a little bit of food here in a second. I guess we don't really have as many runes as I originally thought I might. So this went kind of quick. So maybe with our extra time, we can actually potentially go kill a little bit of rats. Don't really want to kill any more sheep and ram. I just sort of did that. I don't know. Just sort of wanted to work on something. But let's see. So that's done. We worked on rune crafting. We're not going to go over an XP update with it right now. I think what we're going to do is go to the swamp here, the Whispering Swamp, and sort of work on killing a couple rats if I can find them, so I can get a little bit of ichor. Because obviously it seems to be something that's rather rare. And obviously, as the game progresses, there are probably going to be more monsters that you kill that actually drop ichor. Since poisoning things is probably going to be quite beneficial, especially in boss fights. I think you're going to really be relying on that, especially on ones that sort of have phases. For those of you who have played a lot of MMOs and things like that, sometimes a boss will sort of disappear and potentially send minions at you, and you have to defeat them before the boss returns. So if they have any sort of mechanics like that, you're gonna want to have a poison so that way it can potentially do damage to the main boss, or you're taking care of the minions that have been sent to attack you. So we'll have to wait and see. I definitely believe that's going to be a thing. I think that might be actually how they address the um, King Black Dragon. I think that really works well with that. I think it's going to be like, let's say a five-headed dragon. So we've got five heads. There's going to have to be some sort of mechanic if you're going to solo it that allows you to do it without completely getting annihilated. So that's going to be interesting. I'm sure they've put lots of thought and effort into actually working on that boss, and just sort of potentially maybe they haven't even actually started it. Maybe they're going to sort of make some of the lower level bosses, and that might give them a couple ideas of how they're going to put all that together. But regardless, I know that we're going to have an enjoyable experience when doing that, and so far things have been great. So I really, really look forward to a lot of the stuff that they're going to be bringing to the game. I know in last episode I sort of talked about how we need more than just skeletal mages and things like that, and warriors and archers. We're gonna need a variety. I'm not quite actually. I mean, like, I'm happy with the Garu and the goblins, but they had so much opportunity here. You could have put Morse giants out here. That would have been really fun. They could have actually dropped the Ica, maybe at a better success rate, but they were like a lot harder to kill. So many different things you could go and do with it, and obviously it's not over. There's going to be probably other areas that are swamp like that you could add those creatures to, so it's not like it's completely over or anything like that. Plenty of time to reshape the world with future things, and obviously this is early access, first 50 levels of each skill, and there's just so much room for improvement, and really excited to see what they do with it. So I'm just sort of looking around for the Abyssal Demon, who I don't see out here. And that makes sense because I think we recently sort of killed him. So that makes a lot of sense. I remember when I used to come out here and mine clay. Just so much clay all the time. I was out here and I had a path and I would follow it. And I don't really need to do that anymore. And I've got a little bit stashed away, but I don't have as much, I guess, as I could. But I can always get more. I know where it's at. I've got all the lodestones to sort of put me on a track to get it easily. Um, but yeah, so we're going to go ahead and I guess just sort of hang out around here for a little bit and maybe look for some more rats to kill. But to sort of touch base on what I was talking about earlier, there's just so many different types of players. I think that's what makes gaming so unique. Is just basically you've got the player who just likes the interactive point. You've got the player who likes the PvP aspect, and obviously, I just think that that makes gamers so interesting on different levels. And some people just like to help other people while they play the game. It brings them some sort of satisfaction. So I think that's really cool too. But that's also going to be very interesting to see how they sort of make the worlds bigger so more people can play. That potentially could be related to the fact that you're going to have to fight a five-headed Queen Black Dragon. And I don't really think you can do that by yourself. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Maybe they'll have an instance that you can sort of be a part of. At the beginning of the load-in screen, it's like, hey, do you guys want to go fight the Queen Black Dragon? Or maybe like a portal that sort of brings everybody together. But we're going to have to wait and see what that looks like. But we've got some rats out here, so I'm going to take advantage of that and kill them and try to get a little bit of Ica. Because as I stated before, they've got a really low drop chance. They might increase that at some point, but I don't think they should. Because obviously to get all this XP you're going to need to get to basically level up, it's going to take time, and so killing extra monsters and creatures is not a bad thing. If anything, it just helps you get closer to the goal that you're trying to achieve. So really, really crazy actually. I'm going to kill one more rat and then we're probably going to go back and do an XP update and then call it a day. But, you know, I remember when I first started playing World of Warcraft. It's a new world, so much excitement, and every time you go somewhere new, it's just like such a cool feeling to check out all these new places and basically explore new just areas and just check out terrain and cool interactions with NPCs you've never seen before. And uh, this game definitely had that feel for me. And I think it's really hard to recreate. Obviously, it's got a lot to do with your connection to the game, whether it's Borderlands, um, I guess like RuneScape, things like that, right? The original RuneScapes, anyway. Um, it could be anything, really. It could be potentially. I have some ideas in my head, maybe Donkey Kong, things like that. When you go to a new area, well, that's like a Super Nintendo game though for the Donkey Kong. But basically, whatever you're doing, you have a connection to the game, and I think it heightens the experience. Um, with what you're doing. So there's a lot of different ones, right? It could be Elder Scrolls, anything. You sort of go to a new area and you have been in one area for a really long time. And I don't know, there's just a certain hype. And I know people know what I'm talking about when you're playing a game and you love it so much. And basically, you get to this new area and you cannot wait to explore it and really dive into it. And this game brought that back for me. And I think it's a really hard thing to do, to be honest with you, because there's so many games and some of them look similar and then they don't have enough differences and it just all sort of becomes a blob. But I think this game has done a great job of sort of creating this I'm coming over the horizon and I don't really know what to expect when I get there, and then I'm there and it's just like an awesome feeling, and then being able to craft new things and then what they're going to actually look like in the game. I also think that's why it's not so great that they're sharing so much with us, the developers, because I want to have some sort of shock and awe. Like, I want to be surprised with what I'm going to see when I cross a horizon or make a new piece of gear. But anyway, let's get into an XP update. We obviously didn't work on all of the skills, but we did work on a few. So we've got attack XP 319,000, range 52,000. We've got woodcutting 1,000,000, 1,000, construction 2,000,000, 13,000, rune crafting 937,437 XP. Absolutely crazy. We're about 63,000 XP away from 1,000,000 rune crafting XP. So we're slowly going to keep working on that until we hit 1,000,000. That is our goal. Magic 123,000 XP. Mining 4,220,000 XP. Artisan 4,123,000, and cooking 356,000 XP. So we obviously didn't work on everything in this episode, but we did work on quite a bit, and I had a pretty good time doing it. And hopefully you guys enjoyed our video. Hopefully you're enjoying watching all of our content, and hopefully you guys are enjoying your adventure in RuneScape Dragonwilds. And until next time, Legion Luda out.